Welcome to the Systems Edge. This is where we have those conversations that oftentimes happen kind of in boardrooms or in behind closed doors because they're just tough conversations sometimes when you talk about operational blindness. A lot of times these conversations don't even happen. And that's kind of what our goal is here is to uncover what operational excellence looks like, hopefully guiding businesses to kind of escape some of the tech chaos, et cetera. So today, I'm joined by Carl Dekker from MetalFlow. Carl, thanks for joining the Systems Edge.
Well, thank you for having me, David. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you. To start with, Carl, tell us a little bit about yourself, your role at MetalFlow, and if you want to go into a little details, your or past role at Additive Manufacturers User Group, also known as AMUG.
Sure. So just to not dig too deep, but yeah, I've been president of MetalFlow since 97, joined it back in 91. So been quite a number of years. We primarily focus on additive manufacturing or industrial scale 3D printing and
Okay.
additive enabled technologies. So we're again trying to help people get low volume solutions to specialty applications, things like that. A lot of aerospace, defense type areas, some automotive, but it's had some ongoing changes throughout the years, which have been interesting and exciting.
Yeah.
The AMUG that you mentioned, the Additive Manufacturing Users Group, great organization that's been around since 88, I think was the first meeting. Basically a collection or a venue where you'll find a collection of experts in the industry all getting together, sharing some knowledge and sharing some ideas on how they've implemented solutions. So again, it's trying to take a new technology, get the understanding out there to the masses so that it can become more mainstream and more functional, viable, and accepted. So
Okay.
we, we see 3D printing a lot now with, heck, libraries have them, grade schools have them, but
Uh-huh.
those are kind of quick and simple pieces. They make nice little trinkets, gizmos, and stuff. But if you're really looking for production components, you need to have the certifications, you need to have the validations, you need to have quality controls. It's manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a number of different things that all have to come together to
Hmm.
deliver that product. But again, you're doing it for the same basics that you would need to do for any real manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have to do it and apply it to a small volume.
Okay.
So
What was your role before? First of all, how long have you been president of MetalFlow?
since 97,
Oh,
so it's 28 years.
wow.
So,
What led up to that role? Like how did you end up in that position? Did you start at MetalFlow originally?
well, I started working for an import-export company when rapid prototyping at the time, stereolithography, had just began, was helping to make secondary tools off of the patterns, be able to make castings, which gave people functionality. They were on a trial period that wasn't going to continue. So now I met a whole bunch of people, had a whole bunch of technology and capabilities, and no employer. So
Oh, cool.
ended up joining MetalFlow, which was consultants to the metal forging industry. And then eventually the consultants that were focused on hot forging, bearings, things like that, we just agreed that it was going to be separate business models. And I
Mhm.
started moving the additive manufacturing side towards production applications and tried to focus it as a manufacturer, not necessarily consultancy. And it's been just going through the challenges of helping people understand and get proper application to how it can serve properly.
Uh-huh. And how many employees do you guys have? How big are you guys?
I think we're just 15 people. So
Okay.
we're trying to hire a few more,
Yeah.
but it's a challenge because we're not dealing with something where they have regular classes at schools and universities to get
Right.
people educated on it. So we're
Right.
looking for the right people, and we can get through the training then on it.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's challenge everywhere. I know, especially those specialty niches like you guys are involved in. What's a typical day look like for you? As president of an additive manufacturer, with 15
Yeah,
people.
an average day. I don't think I've had an average day in quite a while. It- it's basically start off, take a little walk around, make sure that things are doing what they should be doing, machines are running and making parts or stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure everybody's make sure you know who's available, who isn't available if somebody's out or something. But really the biggest thing then is trying to help make sure the communication is clear and that anybody involved in a program has the information and the answers they need to continue doing what's expected by the customer. Sometimes that falls into run a classroom of training. Sometimes it's on the job training. Some of it's just taking a look at unique situations and trying to understand how the solution is going to work for them. Sometimes it's doing testing and development on a process to make sure that the suggested answer is actually going to be viable.
Mm, mhm.
It has quite a variety of things. I mean, I'll admit I still love to get my hands dirty and actually get in on things and make some stuff happen, but there's usually not too much time for that. It's trying to make sure that everything else is coming together like it should.
Yeah, a lot of management by walking around, it sounds like, so as
Yeah,
it used to
yeah.
be an actual thing, right? It's probably still is, right? You're doing it sounds like, so
Well, it would be nice if you had easy, simple metrics that you could apply for everybody and they'd know exactly what they want. And here's a quick little link and you find all this. Internet's great. You get a lot of information, a lot of things quick and simple.
mhm,
But we're basically trying to get a concept out of somebody's head,
mm,
which is defined in CAD, and then get that conveyed into something that can be put into a manufacturing plan, and then get that manufacturing plan out to the floor so that the people doing the production have a clear understanding of exactly what's going to be expected by the customer.
right, right,
It's can be very challenging because again, we're coming into the picture after somebody has spent months trying to develop, advance, and make amazing this product, and we're trying to quickly get that digested into an understandable medium, and then put together paperwork that communicates all that
yeah,
so that when the person gets their product, they're actually looking at exactly what they were expecting or finding
yeah,
and learning problems with it, whatever it could be. But
the
yeah,
least amount of iterations as possible, right? You're trying to reduce the
hopefully,
iterations. Yeah,
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 yeah. It's
yeah.
it's like you want business cards. Okay, what color do you want the ink? Just blue. Well, there's about 500 different blues.
Well,
And
what you just described is, we're in software development here, and it's the exact same idea. When you, I don't know what you know about software development, but we try to wireframe it, and you're trying to, like you say, get these thoughts and ideas out of someone's head and come back to
yeah,
them and talk to the team, and mistakes are costly. They can be
well,
very costly
yeah.
if you can't don't have a streamlined process for what you're doing. So do you find that that's a quite a manual process? It just leads to a lot of meetings and a lot of back and forth. Is that kind of how you do that, or have you found some automations to be able to assist with this
Well,
process?
it is difficult. I mean, there's standards out there. Those are one way to reference things. But yeah, it's how do you boil it down to common denominators, which are on every program,
Right.
so that the number of areas that are tied to specificity become minimized, and therefore you've got less chance of misinterpretation. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Highly
part of that is
customized. It makes it challenging, doesn't it?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and again, the software, if you've got one line of code that's wrong, it's not going to work.
Yep. Yep.
So we're trying to battle the same thing. How do we get all these systems to work in unison, and then at the same time be able to get that interpretable or communicated from a person?
Yep.
And you look at it, and how many different languages are there? We're all saying the same thing, but we all have confusion. They
Yes.
say,
Yes. 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 I
"What is
know
it?"
that pilots go through that type of training, right? So that they're all on the same page with they have to have clear definition of what each word means. So they, in an emergency, you don't end up thinking, well, I thought you said this. Yeah.
Yep, yeah, you don't have time for that.
No, no, and it costs money in your world, right? These mistakes, one word can cost a lot of time and energy and resources if it's not conveyed well. What business systems do you use? Use an ERP system, you use Excel spreadsheets, bookkeeping. I imagine you got a handful of business systems to
We
assist with everything in your operations.
Yeah, we've got quite a collection of them. Probably the largest number of diverse systems would be those that actually manage the electronic representation of a product.
Oh,
So the
okay.
computer aided design type systems and
Yep.
and anything managing the files as they get prepared for the machines to run, because each machine has its own different communication platform.
Hmm.
But we've looked at a number of ERP systems, and we worked on trying to develop one of our own. We've now kind of gone to the point where we're utilizing mostly spreadsheets and some other things, but for all practical purposes, we try to just standardize a lot of it. We would like to at some point get into it, but we also understand that the second you get into an ERP system, you now have all the updates that are required for it. And every
Yeah.
time somebody updates their platform, like Windows or something, you now have to get yours update. And
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
that it would be very beneficial,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of hurdles that we don't know, and not having one, yeah, it becomes one of those. It's like, well, let's just go to what we know works.
Well, I always say people, everybody has an ERP system. It might be an Excel spreadsheet, but it's an ERP system. If you get all, I'm part of an ERP roundtable too, so I have a lot of deep discussions on
Mm,
ERP systems. So I kind of understand that all the challenges. And, when you only have 15 people and not a lot of moving, you got, like you say, the management by walking around earlier, right? It's sometimes that spreadsheet is what you need at the moment. I've seen companies, maybe some too, 100, 200 people with running their entire company on a spreadsheet. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
what you're going to have adoption issues and expense. It's just like you said, it's not always worth it. So yeah,
yeah.
sometimes that's the West. But in this, at the same time, I guess it kind of goes into my next question. It can lead to some bottlenecks, and I assume you've got some bottlenecks. And so my question kind of is, if you do, what are they in, or maybe what bottlenecks, if you could unlock some of those, would lead
Well,
to some significant growth.
so some of the key things would be if we had an ERP system. So in other words, interactive data that's coming directly from the floor, and it's not just being tracked on documents and records, but it's actually being put into a system which makes it easily, quickly, and instantaneously available for interpretation and inclusion into any sort of decision matrix or risk analysis. Those become very viable things. Right now, we're kind of at the point where we have to schedule more meetings. What do we see? What do we learn? How this risk analysis work? How this work? What are the findings? How do we avoid an issue with something in the future, or what? And and again, that's going to vary with every different program. Some of them will be major, some of them will be minor. At the end of the day, we hope that we're collecting all the key salient points so that we can start picking off the top ones.
Yeah, so if you had to define, it's like, bottleneck would be, how do you have less meetings, right? And
Like,
maybe
yeah, how
what
do you
what
get
type
the
of things
information
could you
you need
automate?
and get
Yeah,
going?
yeah, yeah, how could
Yeah.
you integrate some of your softwares, get a couple of them talking to each other, maybe get some reporting, that sort of thing, so, yeah,
Well,
if
and
you
then it
could
becomes, are they talking to each other on the same language?
right, 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 right. Yeah, if
Yeah.
the bad input, bad output kinda thing, right? If
Mhm.
people are not putting it in correctly, so or if your
Yeah.
machines aren't able to, even like some machines just don't have PLCs to be able to even get the data from, so then you're forced to a manual process in some of those cases, so I guess if you could snap your finger though and had any couple systems you could integrate and they would talk the same language, what might those be? Sometimes
Um,
it's inventory, sometimes it's bookkeeping, talking to, like you said, you kind of alluded to the shop floor information. It sounds like
yeah.
there's information there that could get passed to some kind of dashboard. I don't know. I'm just hoping you're not putting
Well,
words in your mouth, but I'm just thinking out loud.
no, no, it's exactly what you mentioned there, that yes, you've got all these challenges you have to go through and get things taken care of, and if you make a mistake, it costs time, it costs money, and the money's nobody ever likes to let go of, but the one currency that nobody gets more of is time.
Yeah.
So how do you stop a problem before it delays everything? The
Mm,
faster we
that's
respond,
good.
the better. Yeah. So
Mhm.
it's a challenge from that standpoint because yeah, if we could get inspection data
Mm,
instantaneously and then a flag automatically pops if we're seeing a trend going the wrong way or going out of control, that we could take instant action and reduce scrap and thus faster response, faster ability to meet people's expectations. Yeah, some of those things would always be nice. And
mhm.
again, we've got a number of work instructions, we've got a number of different procedures and practices we follow. But if somebody had easy access to, I'm not sure what that was, click a button, and now you've got electronic work instructions right there in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the step I'm missing.
Yeah.
And now you start reducing the risk of training because I mean, come on, the
Yeah.
old joke of Monday and the Friday car. You never want the
Yeah.
Monday car or the Friday car. Um, People come in after a good long vacation and maybe they've forgotten something. And until it's a problem, you really don't know. How do you make sure that those resources are there? Because it's not that you want to call somebody bad. You're no good because you made a mistake. Well, you know what? life gets in the way, things get distracting, and oh, I haven't done that process for 2 months or whatever. And now I'm trying to remember the whole thing. But how do you make sure that there's access to the information? I mean,
Yeah.
currently we do it by, multiple cross trains. So
Hmm.
you've
Yeah.
got numerous people you can go and ask their commentary on it. And oh, all right, now I remember. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, it's ongoing.
Are you that brain trust in the company then that kind of is the guy that's, you know, kind of keeping, looking that big picture, right? Your 50,000 foot view all the time, and you're the one having all these conversations. So it all flows up to you. Is that kind of what you find yourself in your role a lot of times, especially with, 15 people is enough you can man, it's manageable.
Yeah, I
You're
think
that guy that has the
if
brain
I was
trust.
to say yes, I'd probably be trying to stroke my own ego. I think there's a lot of things that my guys do, and they they work together, work through the situations, they come up with great answers, they make a lot of things happen. And those are the ones that obviously I never see.
Yeah, that's
So,
right. Oh, right. They're good at giving you reports. They know how to do the dance with you in terms of what you're looking for, and and plus you trust them, right? There's a trust, probably mostly
yeah.
trust there.
Yeah, well, and that's some of the key things. You have to have a good team that you can trust to take care of things and to understand that, there's gonna be areas that you're not gonna know of, and that's okay. Bring it
Hmm.
in, get some and that's where that, walk around, "How are you doing? How's everything going? How are you got a question with this? Okay." And it
Yeah.
may just be that you know, we're talking right now. Maybe somebody has a question they'd want me to answer, but they're going to be on to something else by the time we're done. And if I
Right.
step on and catch with them, will they remember what it was? Will it have
Right.
passed? Will somebody else? Yeah, it's
Right. Yeah. I think that's,
moving.
we've seen the advent of Slack and Teams that seemed to be a tool that became very popular to sort of help solve some of what you just described too. But you did a good job on describing, like what you described for the last 4 or 5 minutes is a common thing. Like I hear it all the time dealing with a lot of manufacturers when I go in and talk to them. What you just did a great job of describing what it is that I hear all the time. Uh, you hear it from different perspectives and vantage points, of course, but that's good. Shift gears a little, but I guess maybe a little bit. Everybody's talking about Industry 4.0, smart manufacturing, and I know as past president of AMUG, you must had some conversations around that. What do you think the gap is between the hype of that and what's actually implementable in operations today? And we kind of been talking about that when you talk about smart manufacturing and automation, but what's the gap between the hype and what's actually doable?
Well, I'll answer it in two folds. One
Sure.
of them is something that's probably easy for a number of people to relate to. You look at all the social media platforms. All it is a tool to communicate. But at the end of the day, until it becomes so simplified that everybody will use the same one, we're going to have a plethora of them. And I think the same thing with the IoT. When we start getting things like AI involved and the AI starts eliminating these needs to have direct interaction per se. So in other words, do you care if you're using Google Maps or Apple Maps? You just want to get to where you're going.
Hmm.
So at the end of the day, those are just tools to get you there.
Hmm.
If you have whatever Cortana or some AI type thing, and you say, "Hey, give me a map to there," you don't really care where it comes from.
Hmm.
If you do that to social media, "Hey, send a message to all my friends and tell them this," or if you're at work and you're like, "Hey, send production a note that we need to change the color from here to there."
Hmm.
Okay. It's how do we get that level of communication going even faster? Because
Hmm.
that's really the I don't want to say bottleneck, but one of the areas where we can have large impact.
Yeah, yeah. We find it's
Yeah.
hard to get companies to actually just take the time in their busy schedules to have these conversations. And we work with a federally funded organization called The Right Place. They refer a lot of business to us for just that. They go in and do the Industry 4.0 analysis, and that's all free. And then they say, hey, you might be a good fit for some technology automation. Have a conversation. But you spend months and months and months just trying to have a conversation with them. And then it's that digging and digging and digging to try to uncover where those bottlenecks are. And even if it's possible, right? Like the ROI is not always there. To me, that's the biggest
Yeah.
gap. It's all one nice on paper, but if the ROI is not really there at the end of the day, then yeah, it's not.
Those three letters are critical because nobody makes a decision without asking those.
Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah. If it doesn't save dollars, it doesn't make sense.
Yep. And it's got to be nowadays, it's got to be a quick win, right? We try to shoot for
Yeah.
payback in 6 months because you can't, not to, talking with small businesses, right? I mean, larger businesses can afford to, like, yeah, 2-year payback. We put it into planning and make it work. But when you're dealing with smaller companies, by smaller, I mean, 50, 100 or less, it's, yeah, ROI, quick ROI is a real big talking point and close to your heart, I'm sure, as president of a company.
Yeah.
When you're making decisions like that. So, what would you say is your most time-consuming administrative task? What do you find yourself doing the most any given day that absorbs a lot of time or the most?
Jeez.
You're
That's a
spread
good
so thin,
question.
you don't even know, right? You're just all over the place, huh?
Yeah, more often than not, it's just
Yeah.
acting. Well, you know what? It's the hardest one is really keeping the pulse on things.
Mm.
And when I say that, you get emails and they just keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. And a lot of emails may be just informative information, maybe subscriptions are tied to a magazine or something. And not always do you have the time to read them. You just hit the delete key, move on to the next. But if you don't set aside some time to look at those different things, you start to lose the feel of where things are going and what's happening and what are the critical issues that you're going to wind up having to face. Being right's nice. Being on time's better. Being right on time is usually next to impossible.
Huh?
But yeah, how do you stay on top of the daily grind, but at the same time keep your head up enough to be able to see that, hey, this is coming up, this is coming at me over here. I need to move out of the way and get over to here.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah,
You mentioned
we've
AI. Given the rapid technology advancements happening, AI is, getting blended into manufacturing, of course. And what do you think? What do you think businesses should anticipate in the next 3 to 5 years with in your industry or maybe in general with regards to that manufacturing?
I'll take a look. I'll take a comment at that from what I've seen happen in the past with like design related things. Oh, as opposed to making physical parts, we're going to do it all electronically.
Mhm.
Oh, the electronics didn't necessarily tell us all the questions or answers to all the questions we needed. We got to go back to physical. And I think we're going to see AI give us a lot of great information, and we're going to have the ability to go out and do all this good stuff. And then we're going to start to see where the chinks in the armor are and the gaps and the errors and the voids because it's artificial. It's not all
Mhm.
knowing.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
artificial intelligence. It would be nice to have artificial all knowing intelligence.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we don't even know where it's going to fail.
Mm.
We'll see that happen, but we're going to live it. The thing is, hopefully nobody gets hurt. And at the end of the day, we get through it to where it improves and raises to the next level and now becomes more useful and helpful. But
Yeah.
just like anything, there's going to be a learning curve and there's going to be an adoption curve.
Yeah. Are you using it at all yourself? Or you find, you're
Use it a little bit,
uh,
and that's kind of where I've seen some of those things of, wait a second, no, you missed, you're not taking into account these parts of it, which could be nothing more than the garbage in, garbage out that we were talking about earlier. We have to learn how to communicate with it to give it enough information to give us the right information back. That may be the bigger learning curve than AI learning how to do things.
that's what everybody's saying, the prompting. I know a guy on a podcast I follow, he said he spent 39 minutes on a prompt the other day, just trying to tell it how to think like him. Um,
Mhm.
that's what they say. It's not going to be whether we use it, it's going to be who can prompt it best in the future. That's for
Yeah.
sure. So I know this is a site. This may be it won't take long on this rabbit trail, but it's AI related and it's kind of a funny story.
Mhm.
One of our developers popped his head in here before I started. He goes, "Hey, I like your haircut." And I said, "You're gonna laugh at this because we love talking AI around here." I said, "I took ChatGPT and I uploaded a couple pictures of myself and I said, 'Hey, what haircut would look best on me?'" And sure enough, shot back photos and I took it into the hair. Said, "Hair, this is what it says, so go for it."
Wow.
And I'm just always trying to be creative with it. I'm always thinking of different ways. I'm standing on the ladder. This was a few months ago. I trying to get a garage door opener to work, and I took a picture on the ladder. Said, "Here, what am I looking at?" And it said, "You're looking at this thing. Would you like me to tell you how to program it?" Yeah, I push a button, push this, push that. I had it programmed in a couple minutes without having to get a manual out. But you have to like think to even. And there's that learning curve. You kind of alluded to this learning curve of learning how to interact with it too. So yeah, so I can see where it's going to be play a really big role in your world at some point, I would think, with all the you got a lot of moving parts in what you do. I don't know how you keep
Yeah.
track of it. I really don't.
Well, that again is one of the problems. You don't always keep track of everything.
Right.
There are the little things that slip through, and you're like, crap, I forgot that.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So that is a challenge, and if AI can give you an assistant that's going to help you not make any of those mistakes, great. That's nice. That's something that helps us. Does it
Yeah.
help us become more reliant on AI and something, or does it actually, in other words, do we find it easier to forget because we don't need to remember?
Hmm.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
well, I told it to
Yeah.
look for something and it found it, but I don't remember what it was.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got to remind you of that too. I know
Yeah.
it's kind of like Alexa will say to me in the morning, "Hey, by the way, I found a good price offer on something you order a lot." It's trying hard to think like we do. We'll see where it
Hmm.
goes. That's for sure. Last question
Yeah.
for you. Uh, so we get a lot of business owners and C-level executives like yourself that are listening to the show. If you had some advice for them on something they could change or habit they could adopt that would, in their business operationally that could help them, what would it be and maybe why?
Well, I mean, you've always heard that people are the biggest asset and the biggest liability of an organization. How do you make sure that everybody is getting trained or has resources to the right information to make the best decisions? And then it's how do you make sure that they're put in positions where they can exercise their skills to the best
Hmm.
and continue to get that dialogue open for feedback, because again, like I said, I may not know what they're solving on the floor. I could
Mm,
say that, yeah, I'm the solution to everything, but I don't know how many problems they've already solved. We
right.
just try to keep pushing training, keep pushing the sharing of information, keep
Yeah.
educating people and seeing what we can do uh, the sharpen the saw of the Stephen
Yeah.
Covey book.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do we get them to be more effective? Which I guess goes right back to the AI that we were talking about.
Yeah.
You got to have, you got to be giving the AI the right information as well. Yeah, effective sharing to get intended or expected results.
That's cool.
So
Well, thank you. This has been very insightful. Thanks for sharing your street smarts. Was it 29 years you said? 20 l
something like
as
that.
a
Yeah,
we'll just
yeah,
call it decades of experience, in what you do. Yeah, there's always a nugget or 2. I don't know about you, but I always look for that 1 or 2 nuggets, and I know there's several in this chat today, so thank you for sharing. Appreciate it.
yeah. My pleasure.
Yeah, thanks again for taking some time, and have a great weekend.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me on. It was great chatting with you, and I'll look forward to hearing more of the sessions and things. So appreciate
Great.
that.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh, take care.